Hello friends, welcome back to Shiji classes, and in this video we are going to cover rheumatic heart disease, one of the most important and one of the most interesting topic. Here many microscopic views are also there, so to make it more interesting, so let's focus on it. Rheumatic heart disease. First of all, we will discuss the definition. It is the post-streptococcal disease in which the anti-streptococcal antibodies cross-react with the cardiac tissues. Etiology: Group A beta hemolytic streptococcal infection. Age 5 to 15 years. Now we will discuss the modified zones criteria. It is divided into major, minor, and an essential criteria. The major includes the pancarditis, migratory polyarthritis, which is the most common in the major criteria, Sydenham's chorea, subcutaneous nodules, and erythema marginatum. The minor criteria includes fever, arthralgia, previous rheumatic heart disease, and elevated acute phase reactants, and also ECR and leukocytosis. The essential criteria includes evidence of previous group A streptococcal infection. Now for the diagnosis, two major criteria or one major plus two minor criteria is needed along with the essential criteria. Next, pathogenesis. Here, the antibody against the M protein of the streptococcal antigen is produced, which cross-reacts with the host antigen in heart, skin, and joints. In the heart, the myocardial cells and the glycoprotein of the valves are affected. Next, it develops after a latent period of 2 to 6 weeks, after an episode of pharyngitis or tonsillitis by group A beta hemolytic streptococci. Here type 2 hypersensitivity reaction is there and molecular mimicry is seen. T cell mediated reaction type 4 hypersensitivity is seen in the chronic rheumatic heart disease, in which the CD4 T cells are also activated by the streptococcal antigen. Here you can see a photograph of pharyngitis. After the pharyngitis caused by streptococcal infection, approximately 6 to 8 weeks later, the rheumatic heart disease developmental chances increases. Next, morphology. Here we have divided into two types, the cardiac lesions and extracardiac lesions. In the cardiac lesions, the first is acute rheumatic heart disease, which is characterized by pancarditis. Pancarditis. It means all three layers of the heart are involved. First of all, pericardium. Here, irregular deposits of fibrin are found on both visceral and parietal surface of the pericardium and hence called the fibrinous pericarditis. Grossly, it resembles two surfaces of the slice of buttered bread that have been gently pulled apart, called as bread and butter pericarditis. I have also the image of this here. Here you can see a bread butter pericarditis. It is butter like. And here the pericardium is reflected. The fibrin exudate sticks to the underlying myocardium. Second, myocardium. Non-specific myocarditis during acute rheumatic fever may cause dilation of the heart. Next, Escrow bodies. They are the diagnostic hallmark. They are spheroidal or fusiform characteristic lesion. focal distinctive inflammatory infiltrate in the heart. They are found in any of the three layers in the perivascular region of the heart. The formation consists of three phases. Here I have drawn a simple table. The three phases are early or exudative phase, intermediate or granulomatous phase, and late healed or final phase. The early or exudative phase consists of a perivascular focus of swollen eosinophilic collagen surrounded by the lymphocytes, plasma cells, as well as the macrophages. In the intermediate or granulomatous phase, this is the pathognomic of rheumatic myocarditis. Here you can see the small lymphocytes, macrophage, and in between that fibrinoid necrosis is present, and some cells, modified macrophage, are also there. Here you can see. They are called the anti-SNOF cell. They are plump activated macrophages with abundant cytoplasm. The chromatin has central, slender, wavy ribbon caterpillar-like appearance. Hence, they are also called the caterpillar cells. The pathognomic cell is this. On cross-section, nuclei has owl-eye appearance. Few anti-SNOF cells may become nucleated, 2 to 4 nuclei, in which case they are called the Askov giant cells. Here you can see a chromatin which is caterpillar-like in the cut section. They are the plump activated macrophage called the anti-SNOF cells. Third, endocardium. First, valvular endocarditis. The most common valve affected is mitral valve, followed by mitral plus aortic valve. The inflammatory damage causes focal loss of endothelium and fibrin deposits along the line of closure of the valve leaflets or along the tendinous cords. Here you can see along the valve leaflets, here small nodular warty vegetations called verrucae. They are non-invasive in nature, non-destructive, and they are firmly attached. Here this you can see this. Here is the image from Robbins. Here at the end of this leaflet valve, here you can see small warty vegetations which are firmly attached. This is in rheumatic heart disease. B. Mural endocarditis. Less prominent than the valvular lesions, most common is McCollum plaque. This is also important. Due to mitral regurgitation, the regurgitated blood hits left atrial wall repeatedly and thus causes thickening on the posterior wall of the left atrium, called the McCollum's patch. It is irregular, wrinkled, map-like thickening in the mural endocardium. It is seen in chronic rheumatic heart disease and not in acute rheumatic heart disease. The microscopy shows multiple Askov bodies. Now the next one is chronic rheumatic heart disease. Here mitral valve stenosis is present. Here fusion of the commissure or the end sucker. You can see the ending or the commissural fusion. Leaflet thickening. Some thickening you can see this of the leaflet of the mitral valve. Fixed narrow slit like opening is present. This opening. It is called the fish mouth or buttonhole appearance. The healing of the rheumatic lesions along the lines of the closure leads to the formation of fibrous adhesions or bridging of the valvular commissures and also the calcification of the mitral valve that results in a rigid and partially fused stenotic valve. Remember, this is of chronic rheumatic heart disease. Shortening, thickening and fusion of the chordae tendineae occurs. Recurrent rheumatic fever is the most common cause. Here you can see the leaflet thickening and a fish mouth or buttonhole appearance. Next, consequences. Left atrium progressively dilates and hypertrophy occurs. Favors mural thrombi. Embolize, that is dislodged thrombi. Chronic venous congestion in the lung. Pulmonary hypertension, which leads to right-sided heart failure. Clinical features. Dyspnea, hemoptysis with rust-colored sputum of HF cells are seen. In the beginning, we have discussed the cardiac lesions, and now we will discuss the extracardiac lesions. Remember the Jones criteria. First, migratory polyarthritis. It is the most common manifestation in the acute rheumatic fever. It affects large joints like hip joint or knee joint. It is non-erosive and resolves spontaneously without any residual disability. They are seen in adults. Next, subcutaneous nodules. They are seen more in children than in adults. They are spheroidal painless nodules of approximately 0.5 to 2 cm in diameter. They are attached to tendons or ligaments, usually located at the extensor surface of the wrist, elbows, ankles, knees and occiput. Microscopy. Appear like a giant Escoffe body. Third, erythema marginatum. Reddish rash, non-itchy, shows characteristic bathing suit pattern of distribution. The face is pet. There are no changes in the face. Fourth, Sydenham's chorea or Saint Vitus dance. It is a neurological disorder with involuntary, rapid, jerky, purposeless movements of the trunks and extremities in an emotionally labile patient. Fifth, it may also involve lung, pleura and arteries. Here is the image from which you can remember the extracardiac lesions. Sydenham's chorea, subcutaneous nodules which are present on the extensors of the surface of the skin. Arthritis which affects the large joints. Erythema marginatum, they are reddish rash, non-itchy. Next, complications of the chronic rheumatic heart disease. They are infective endocarditis, mural thrombi, atrial or ventricular chambers, thromboemboli, CHF, adhesive pericarditis, arrhythmias, mainly atrial fibrillation. They are common in mitral stenosis. Clinical features. Acute carditis, pericardial friction rub, weak heart sound, tachycardia, arrhythmia of various cardiac murmurs. Jones criteria is used for the diagnosis. You remember, 2 major or 1 major plus 2 minor along with essential criteria is must for the diagnosis of the rheumatic heart disease. Next, lab findings. There are no specific serological tests for the rheumatic fever. The serological test performed in the rheumatic heart disease is pharyngeal cultures for the streptococci. They are mostly negative by the time the illness begins. Antibodies against the streptococcal enzyme can be detected in the sera of patients with renal failure. It includes anti-streptolysin O, DNase B, and anti-hyaluronidase. Acute phase reactants, raised ESR and C-reactive proteinase C. At last we will discuss the course. Recovery, most acute attacks subsides within 4 to 6 weeks. Recurrence, clinical manifestations reappears year or decades after the initial episode of rheumatic fever. Prognosis, improved due to surgical repair or prosthetic replacement of diseased valves. So, how's the video? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching my video, and if you found it helpful, then please like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.